Welcome to this deep dive, where we get straight to the heart of what matters for your business. Today, we're tackling a really big decision for financial leaders: choosing the right ERP system. Specifically, we're zoning in on why Dynamics 365 Business Central, often provides some superior advantages, especially when you're weighing it against NetSuite. We've pooled our experience from numerous real-world implementations, done the research, and, crucially, listened to feedback from finance pros using these systems day in, day out.
Exactly. And we're not here just to, echo marketing points. Our goal today is really to cut through the noise, the complexity, and clearly show the distinct benefits Business Central brings, especially in areas like cost efficiency and the real impact those savings have, implementation speed, how well it fits with the tech you likely already use, and its core financial muscle. Think of this as just a straightforward chat between two people who are, in the trenches with Business Central implementations daily, sharing what we see working.
Okay, let's dive right in. The critical point for everyone listening: the cost, the financial outlay.
Right.
When we look at Business Central, you're typically seeing that per user, per month fee. About $70 for Essentials, $100 for Premium, roughly. But a key thing here is it's pretty much all-inclusive, right? No separate big platform fees lurking. How does that compare to what you usually see with NetSuite's pricing?
Yeah, that's a really key distinction. The pricing models are quite different. NetSuite also has a per user per month fee, starts a bit higher, maybe $99 plus, but, and this is a big but, that's often just the start. They typically tack on a significant base platform fee, could be around, say, $999 a month. And then you often find extra costs for almost any advanced function you might need because they're usually separate modules.
Right, and then that all-inclusive aspect you mentioned for Business Central.
Yeah.
That sounds like a real plus. I mean, for that one price, you're getting finance, sales, service, project management, even manufacturing and supply chain with Premium. It sounds like with NetSuite, you end up paying extra for capabilities that are just standard in BC.
That's a huge advantage for managing your total cost. Absolutely. What might look like a complete package with NetSuite at first glance can, get more expensive pretty quickly. As soon as you realize you need those extra modules for things that are just built into Business Central from the get-go, and that hits your total cost of ownership, your TCO, potentially quite hard.
So let's broaden that out then. Total cost of ownership, TCO.
Yeah.
What do we generally see for the initial implementation costs? Ballpark figures for both.
Generally speaking, for a basic Business Central implementation, you're probably looking at somewhere between, say, $35,000 and $50,000. NetSuite, on the other hand, tends to start higher, usually in the $50,000 to maybe $100,000, sometimes more, range for a standard implementation. And of course, these numbers can go up depending on, how complex things get, customizations needed.
And it's not just that initial hit, is it? It's also about how quickly you start seeing a return on that money, the ROI.
Absolutely. And that's another spot where Business Central often shines. The typical ROI timeline we see is, somewhere around 14 to 18 months. NetSuite tends to be a bit longer, usually more in the 18 to 24-month range. So that quicker return with Business Central can be a really substantial benefit for businesses wanting to see value sooner rather than later.
Okay. Another thing that came up was flexibility around contracts. It sounds like BC offers a bit more room to maneuver there.
That's right. Business Central usually offers more flexible annual contract terms, which can be really helpful for growing companies, where needs might shift year to year. NetSuite, in contrast, often pushes for longer-term commitments. 3, maybe 5 years is pretty typical, which is just less adaptable if things change.
So if we pull all these cost factors together, the licenses, the implementation, the ROI, the contracts,
right,
what kind of real savings are we talking about if a company picks BC over NetSuite?
Over, say, a 3-year period, it's honestly not unusual to see a total cost of ownership that's maybe 30 to 40% lower with Business Central. To make that more concrete, think about a company with 20 users. That could mean saving $24,000 to $36,000 less each year.
Wow.
Yeah. And for a bigger company, maybe 50 users, you could be looking at savings like $150,000 to $200,000 over those 3 years. That's real money you can put back into the business.
Those are definitely significant figures. And it's not always just the obvious costs, right? Sometimes there are those less visible sort of hidden costs companies don't always factor in.
Exactly. And that's where the transparency of Business Central's pricing is quite helpful.
Mm-hmm.
You largely sidestep those potential hidden costs that can sometimes pop up with NetSuite. Things like Annual price hikes, those extra module fees we talked about, paying more for premium support tiers, needing separate sandbox environments for testing, even getting charged for going over data storage limits. Business Central's structure is generally much more straightforward, much more predictable.
Okay, so cost is clearly a major point for Business Central. Let's shift gears slightly. How quickly can a company actually get the system up and running? Implementation speed is crucial, right?
Yeah.
Minimizing disruption, getting those benefits flowing.
Right. Another area where Business Central often pulls ahead, the typical implementation timeline we see for BC is usually somewhere in the 3 to 6 month window. NetSuite, well, it tends to take longer, often more like 6 to 12 months. Now, obviously, these are averages. It depends on the company size, complexity, all that. But that's the general trend we see. And getting Business Central running faster means you can start tapping into that deep integration with your Microsoft tools much sooner, too.
And that faster rollout must directly impact when you start seeing the value, that ROI we just discussed.
Precisely. Because BC deployments tend to be quicker, you hit that time to value faster, you realize your ROI sooner, and a big part of that speed often comes down to the implementation approach itself.
How do those approaches usually differ between the two?
Business Central primarily uses a partner-led implementation model, which gives you a lot of flexibility, really. You're working closely with experts, your partner, who can tailor the setup specifically to how your organization works, your unique processes. NetSuite tends to lean towards a more standardized methodology, which, okay, offers consistency, but maybe less adaptability if you have very specific needs.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got unique workflows or industry quirks. So moving beyond cost and speed, let's talk integration, especially with tools lots of companies already use day to day, that whole ecosystem effect.
Yeah, and connecting this back, for companies already deep in the Microsoft world, and that's a huge number of businesses, Business Central has a massive advantage here. It offers truly native, seamless integration with Microsoft 365. So things like Excel, Outlook, Teams, OneDrive, they just work together smoothly, almost effortlessly. Plus, it integrates beautifully with Power BI for analytics, Power Automate for automating workflows. It has like over 1,000 connectors available. And Power Apps for building custom apps with minimal coding. This just creates this unified flow of information all within that familiar Microsoft environment. It breaks down silos, helps you make faster, smarter decisions.
Can you give us some concrete, maybe day-to-day examples? How does that tight integration actually help a finance team?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine this. You can edit financial data right inside Excel, but it's live linked back to Business Central.
Okay.
No more exporting, messing with spreadsheets, importing back in, which is slow and prone to errors, right? Or think about sharing financial reports securely, collaborating on them directly within Teams, or generating professional invoices or statements right from Outlook, pulling live data straight from the ERP. And then Power BI, it can just transform your financial data into these amazing interactive dashboards, often with pre-built templates and even AI suggesting insights. We often hear finance teams save, 5, maybe 10 hours a week on routine stuff just because of this M365 integration.
That level of integration sounds like a genuine game changer for productivity.
Yeah.
How does NetSuite usually connect with the Microsoft suite?
Well, NetSuite does offer some basic integrations, with Outlook and Excel. But it doesn't have that same native built-in connection to Teams or OneDrive. Often, if you want to connect it to other Microsoft products, you're looking at using third-party connectors. And that can sometimes add complexity, maybe introduce potential headaches with data sync.
So it sounds like if you're already invested in Microsoft tools, Business Central offers a much smoother, more efficient ride. Okay, another hot topic, AI, artificial intelligence. How do BC and NetSuite stack up here? And how can AI actually help financial decision makers?
Right. This is where Business Central, particularly lately, really shines. Microsoft has poured a lot of effort into embedding AI directly into Business Central through Microsoft Copilot. And this isn't just basic AI. It offers really advanced stuff like AI-powered cash flow forecasting, predicting which customers might pay late, intelligently optimizing your inventory levels, even automatically generating product descriptions or helping with smart data entry. And often these features are just included, part of the package. Think of it like this. Copilot isn't just a feature, it's almost like a proactive assistant helping you optimize cash flow, streamline work. Imagine it flagging a potential cash crunch 3 months out based on trends. That gives you critical time to react.
That sounds incredibly useful, very proactive. What does NetSuite bring to the table in terms of AI for its users?
NetSuite has a feature called Text Enhance. It's primarily more of a writing assistant, for helping draft text in longer fields within the system, which is helpful, sure, for content, but it doesn't really offer that same depth of AI-driven insight, automation, or the predictive power you get with Copilot in Business Central.
So Copilot in BC is really about using AI to turn that raw data into actual actionable intelligence, give you prompts, recommendations.
Exactly, and it's tied deeply into Microsoft 365 and also Dataverse, Microsoft's secure data platform. So it all works together on a solid foundation. You even get a conversational chat feature inside BC now. You can literally ask it in plain English to find records or get answers.
Really?
Yeah, and there's Analysis Assist too, which uses natural language to help you dig into your data and find insights. And it's worth remembering BC also has those non-generative AI features it's had for a while, like sales forecasting, inventory forecasting, cash flow analysis.
Okay, let's pivot to the core stuff for our listeners, the financial management features themselves. What are some key advantages Business Central offers in this really critical area?
Well, Business Central comes with a really comprehensive set of financial management tools right out of the box. Standard configuration. Key advantages. Things like unlimited dimensions, which lets you slice and dice your financial data pretty much any way you need for detailed reporting and analysis. Automated bank reconciliation, a huge time saver at month end. The AI-powered cash flow forecasting we just mentioned. Integrated budgeting that plays really nicely with Excel. And just robust support for handling multiple currencies, VAT requirements, all that complex stuff. For instance, those dimensions. You could track profit, not just by department, but maybe by a specific project within that department. Much deeper insight.
And reporting and analytics, obviously essential for any finance team. How do they compare there?
Business Central is strong here too. You get standard reports ready to go, but crucially, you can easily customize the layouts yourself to fit exactly what you need. And then, of course, there's that seamless Power BI integration again. For really advanced visuals, deeper dives, including pre-built dashboards you can start with. Microsoft also recently added something called Analysis Mode. It basically gives you an Excel-like analysis experience right inside Business Central, so you can pivot and filter data on the fly without exporting anything.
Now, NetSuite often promotes its strengths in areas like, say, revenue recognition or handling complex intercompany stuff, consolidations. How does Business Central handle those needs?
That's true. NetSuite has historically focused there. But Business Central has made really big strides. It includes standard RevRec features, absolutely. But for more complex scenarios like subscription billing, there are excellent ISV solutions. Those are third-party apps readily available on Microsoft AppSource. That's their marketplace for certified add-ons. And for multi-company and consolidation, Microsoft has invested heavily there recently. They've added features for automatic intercompany transactions, even cross-environment consolidation that's currently in preview. Plus, there's the Company Hub, which makes managing multiple legal entities much simpler.
It definitely sounds like Business Central offers a lot of adaptability. Let's talk a bit more about customization. How easy is it for a business to really tailor the system?
This is another place where Business Central often comes out ahead, I think. It benefits hugely from this massive, very active partner ecosystem. We're talking over 3,800 partners worldwide. And then there's AppSource, the marketplace, with more than 5,000 pre-built apps and extensions. So you just have this vast range of options for adding specialized functions, tailoring it to your specific industry or business quirks.
And what if a company wants to build its own custom solutions? Or maybe integrate with some other niche software they use? How extensible is BC?
It's actually remarkably straightforward to use Business Central data within Power Apps. So you can build custom applications using a low-code approach for very specific needs. It also connects seamlessly with Dataverse, leveraging that whole secure Microsoft data platform, making sure everything's unified. And for developers, Business Central uses standard tools they likely already know, like Visual Studio Code and GitHub, makes development much more efficient, more accessible. Plus, the user interface itself is really customizable. There's a drag-and-drop designer, you can tailor views by role, individuals can personalize their own screens, even non-technical users, citizen developers, can build custom workflows using Power Automate.
How does NetSuite compare on customization and extending functionality?
NetSuite certainly offers customization, yeah, through what they call Suite apps and their Suite Cloud platform. It uses a proprietary scripting language, SuiteScript. But their App Store generally has a more limited selection compared to AppSource. And the customization itself tends to be more developer-heavy, potentially needing quite specialized skills.
Okay, nearly there. Let's touch on one last critical piece. Support. What happens if you run into issues? What's the support model like for Business Central users?
Business Central uses a two-tier support model, which works pretty well. Your first call is usually your implementation partner. They know your specific setup, your business, inside out.
Right.
But crucially, those partners are backed up by Microsoft's global support network, which is available 247, 365 days a year. It's always a good question to ask any software vendor, by the way. Where is your support center located? And what are their hours?
Good tip. Okay, so thinking about everything we've discussed, the cost benefits, the faster implementations, that amazing Microsoft integration, the advanced AI, strong financials, flexibility, who is the ideal customer for Dynamics 365 Business Central?
Yeah, we've kind of developed a mental checklist from our experience working with clients. So if your finance team already lives and breathes in the Microsoft ecosystem, if predictable IT costs without surprise fees are really important to you, if you're facing a tight deadline to get a new ERP system live, if you're keen to automate those repetitive financial and operational tasks, if you need upfront visibility into all the ERP costs for budgeting, if you need easy access to financial data on the go, mobile devices, maybe even offline, if you value a personalized implementation tailored to you, not just a standard template, and if you're interested in really using AI to get deeper insights and boost efficiency, well, if several of those tick boxes for you, then Dynamics 365 Business Central is very, very likely an excellent fit for your organization.
So wrapping this up then, we've taken a pretty deep dive comparing Dynamics 365 Business Central and NetSuite. And it seems clear that while, yeah, both are capable ERPs, Business Central offers some really compelling advantages, particularly around cost effectiveness, implementation speed, that seamless Microsoft integration, and the cutting-edge AI with Copilot.
Exactly. I mean, the best choice always depends on your specific, unique needs as an organization, no question. But for many, many growing businesses, especially those already comfortable in the Microsoft world, Business Central presents a really strong, value-driven case. It can genuinely empower financial decision-making and really help drive success.
So if you've been listening and thinking, maybe Business Central is the right move for us, what's the best next step?
We'd strongly encourage you to schedule a consultation with our team, our Business Central implementation consultants. We can sit down, take a closer, personalized look at your specific financial needs, understand your challenges, and give you a tailored assessment. Really figure out how Dynamics 365 Business Central could specifically address your situation. It's honestly the most effective way to see if it's the right ERP choice and get a clear picture of the potential benefits for you.
That's right. Taking that step, exploring your options with experts who live this stuff, it can provide invaluable clarity. Embracing the right ERP system isn't just a software decision, it's really a foundational investment. It's crucial for long-term success and growth in today's, well, let's face it, pretty dynamic business world. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive today.